My name is Geraldine Bell and I'm the UK Business Development Manager for further and higher education. And also, as part of my remit, I look after UK independent schools and British international schools. I've probably worked in education for about 25 years. So I've worked for software houses, I've worked for some of the bigger American VLE companies, but I've actually been with Scanning Pens probably about 4 years. I joined them as a sort of external sales consultant, and then they taught me into joining them full time a couple of years ago. And I absolutely love this market. We provide assistive tech that converts text to speech, and I love working with further and higher education. So today's webinar is probably going to be about 45 minutes from start to finish. If any of you have any questions, we will have time for questions at the end. Do put them in the chat room, which is down in the bottom right. And this morning, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Brendan McGuigan from Dyslexia Association over in Ireland. Some of you may already know Brendan, but he's the Adult Dyslexia Coordinator and Assistive Technology Specialist with DAI. And before joining DAI, he was the Assistive Technology Tutor with a third level Irish institution, supporting a wide range of physical and neurological learning disabilities. Brendan's approach is person-centered, being mindful of fitting the technology around the individual. I think that is so important. I think, you know, we need to be able to offer a selection of tools and solutions to help people that have difficulty in reading, and one solution doesn't fit all. But as I say, I think without further ado, I will hand you over to Brendan, and then when Brendan's finished, I'll take you through the offering that we have from Scanning Pen. So over to you, Brendan.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Geraldine. Thank you for that great introduction as well. So just regarding the Dyslexia Association of Ireland, DAI. So we're a national charity, 1,500 plus members so far, and growing. So there's 27 local workshops across Ireland, and our national office is based in Dublin. So everything we're providing now is probably mostly online at the moment. We're providing information services, assessments, online tuition for children and adults. We also have webinars for teachers, parents, and the private sector as well, to upskill and spread awareness of how dyslexia impacts certain areas of our, not only childhood, but throughout all of areas of life, whether it be, you know, educational, workplace, personal. And then we do advocate and campaign again for those individuals with dyslexia who need that the voice behind them too. So just quick slide on what is dyslexia. So it's a SLD, or specific learning difficulty or difference. At the moment, I know there's new studies coming out all the time, but I believe in the US it's 1 in 5 affected, but here in Ireland it's 1 in 10, and it's on a spectrum. So it's something that can affect various areas of an individual's life, whether it be, you know, learning to read, write, and spell, long-term, short-term memory, spatial awareness, phonological awareness. So as I said, it's on a spectrum, so it affects every individual individually, pretty much, or there's no two identical, and it's not something that can be sort of switched on or off. You can't say one day it's like, oh, suddenly I'm dyslexic today, but not tomorrow. That's not absolutely not the case. Some stark contrast as well is that sometimes when a child is actually identified with dyslexia, it's actually a genetic condition as well. Condition is probably the wrong word to use there, I'm sorry, but yeah, sometimes an adult will be identified through the child in some cases too. So people with dyslexia do better. It's not that it's you're playing to your strengths, because individuals with dyslexia have systems in place that they have dealt with without probably realizing that they have. So, but if their needs are identified, then they can put in the likes of assistive technology and these reasonable accommodations. So moving on to assistive technology. So this enables access and independence. So assistive technology is not a cheat. It's just something there to play to an individual's strengths. So for example, in this, if you prefer text being read aloud, which is hugely beneficial for individuals with dyslexia, this is the scanning pen, which Geraldine will go over in a moment. So that is the text to speech or screen reading, as in it reads the text aloud for me. So it improves that level of comprehension. And sometimes when I know in the education sector, some examples I would use is that it's great for proofreading your own documents. So sometimes when it's said aloud, you can get the context a bit, you can understand the context a bit better. And sometimes proofreading is one of those things that we don't have time to do. But if we took the 10-15 minutes at the end of an essay or an assignment, and in my paragraphs, maybe I'm trying to make 2 or 3 points at the same time, they could be expanded on or moved or completely deleted. And then you have the opposite way around. So you have voice dictation. So you can actually type with your voice. A bit of newsworthy or recent is that Nuance, who creates Drag and Dictate, have been purchased by Microsoft for 16 billion. So that's topical, I suppose. So there are other learning and support aids. So for example, apps, you can get the assistive phonics, spelling programs that will phonetically read and give you the definition of these words. Editing software, so Grammarly, I know another one is called languagetool.org, is great for picking up on grammatical mistakes and errors in your writing. So same homophones as well, so same sounding words that can be confused or confusable words as well. Assisting with note taking, for example, Notability. Mind mapping if you're more of a visual learner as well. An example there is given as Poplet. And memory apps, for example, Dashlane for passwords. I know one I use is called Bitwarden. I don't get paid by Bitwarden, but I just want to give that as an example. So you just remember one master password, and every other password is automatically generated for you, and that's great to assist with memory. Online calendar as well is great for that level of organization too. Oh, pressing the wrong button. So sometimes the best assistive technology as well is sort of hidden in plain sight, I would argue. So it's usually built into devices. So for example, using voice dictation, Apple are great for this as well, is in that within Mac OS and in their iOS mobile devices, it's built into settings and accessibility that you can dictate into the device and the reverse, convert that text to speech. So we also have third-party apps. So apps are software that will add on to something. So an app that you download or pay for, or sometimes there's a great trial available for these as well. So they'd be ranging from visual assistants like mind maps to those text-to-speech programs to those speech-to-text programs as well. And then most importantly is that the creating awareness of the separate devices as well. So handheld devices, tactile devices that you can use and promote independency, and the added benefit of getting away from the mobile phone or PC as well, because we need that downtime to get away from the screens, because God knows how long we're sitting in front of screens nowadays. So so ideally small and portable. For example, the scanning pen that Geraldine will go over in a moment. And then as well as the ease of use and adaptation to an individual's workflow. Again, because the pen is so tactile and because you're probably used to writing on paper, that it's just there. It's like it's so straightforward to use. So that ease of use and accessibility is key to using assistive technology or enabling assistive technology in your workflow. So just a quick slide to press the wrong button again. A quick slide to about just like the examinations and race. So that's reasonable accommodations. So actual state exams. So the SEC allows the use of these scanning pens in the junior and leaving cert, and slowly but surely, like as mentioned there before, I was working for another Irish third level institution before, and they were just introducing the exam reader, and it was the the pickup of that was huge as well, to promote that independency. And it's also sometimes that an individual with dyslexia will not want any reader to sort of, they don't want to badger them. They don't want to sort of keep asking if a question isn't being read right, or isn't being absorbed or understood. They don't want to keep sort of badgering that individual to come over. Whereas a pen, if they had just this handheld device, they could just scan the page, and again, I don't want to eat into Geraldine's presentation, but the criteria is on the SEC website. It's been updated, as I know, from in March 2021. So they do actually recognize assistive technology as an enabling access to examinations. So the SEC actually encourage AT to support this access. So there are a range of assistive technologies which the individual can apply. For example, access to a word processor, laptop, or tablet. Now, probably make more sense in a moment, where it's not cheating because certain dictionaries and predictive texts are switched off on the device as well, to sort of create that baseline that they're not having added features because they're being provided with assistive technology. Access to a recording device in an exam, and as we'll go through in a moment, the reading pen is actually specified in the SEC guidelines too. So to get this technology, so you need evidence of the candidate's level of need. So this is all detailed on examinations.ie as well. So there's a section 2 of the application form. So you also need that and a score of 85 or less on a word reading test. So the reading is about accuracy, but not comprehension. So sometimes as well that you'll be, when you're asked to read within a time limit, that individual will sort of read faster or try and get through the text, where that's not the case. So I believe it's an accuracy error rate of 7% on an examination paper, or reading of 89 words or less per minute on the examination paper. So that's the criteria that they want. So just to be aware that it's not a reading test to get through the whole thing as quickly as possible. So make sure that not that you slow down either, but just awareness of those criteria. So some common problems that were observed by the SEC in previous years included sort of text not being read from a second subject, or text being read at an incorrect level, even sort of excess number of words that were being read, and then errors that weren't calculated or recorded, and even sometimes in some cases that test instructions were not adhered to. So sometimes in examinations the wording of the tests can be sort of oblique, or the actual point is probably 2 or 3 lines in, and it can be a lot to read. So that's just a quick run through of the examinations and the use of scanning pens. So again, it's very useful for students who need the words read out to them, and access to the exam paper is always beneficial to have that in advance as a paper copy. And it's slowly but surely being used in college exams, in my opinion, or my experience, and that's just the quick run through of the SEC guidelines. So I don't want to cut into Geraldine's presentation, so I'll hand you back over to her, and thank you.
Yeah, that's great, Brendan. So Brendan is staying on the call, so if you've got any questions for Brendan, just put them in the chat box and we'll have a look at them as we move on. But thanks, that was great, Brendan. And Brendan was just talking about the exams there. So the exam reader pen is this bright orange pen, if you can see that on my screen now. So it is compliant to use in exams, and it's being used, approved not only by SEC, but many of the major exam boards, which I'll go through in a few minutes. Our other pen is the white reader pen, this one here. I like to call this the day-to-day reader pen because it's very feature rich, and again I'll go through exactly what this pen can do in a few minutes. We also have the Lingo Pen, and as the name suggests, it's a language pen, and it translates actually, so it translates individual words. So we get a lot of demand for this. Obviously, students that perhaps have English as a second language, and it supports French, Spanish, German. We've even got Mandarin on there now, and it translates English to Arabic. It doesn't translate the other way at the moment. So lots of languages on there. And then we also have the Connect Pen, which we actually launched at Bet's educational show. I don't know if any of you get to go to that one, but I think that's probably one of the largest, biggest events I last went to before this pandemic. So it was January 2020 last year, and Scanning Pens were proud to receive the Bet Company of the Year award, and we launched Connect. And the Connect Pen is great, again, for further higher ed students or anybody, any adult that needs to capture large contents of text, because what it allows them to do is download a mobile app on the phone, and then as they're scanning with the pen, it automatically uploads the content into the mobile app, and then they can Bluetooth that onto other devices like the laptop. And it's also got Google Translator on there, so there's lots of languages on there. So again, that's just sort of a time-saving device, I think, for anybody that really needs to capture, as I say, large pieces of context. So you may think, if you're not already using scanning pens, well, why are they helpful? And I think Brendan's already suggested, you know, it is a mid-tech solution. I think it's quite a nice, discreet design. You know, if I was sat using these at a desk, you know, in a lecture, in the library somewhere, I don't think you'd be thinking, what on earth has she got in her hand there? Because it does just look like a highlighter pen. We do these lanyards as well, which is great for anybody that's on a work placement or, you know, studying practical courses like medical or hairdressing, etc. They can just have it to hand, and if it's a word they don't understand, they can scan and listen. The other great thing about these pens, unlike other software and hardware solutions, you don't need any Wi-Fi connection for them to work. But I would say treat it like you would a mobile phone, because the battery operated and you need to charge them up, and I'd suggest charge them up overnight. And if you are going to use them in exams, obviously you need to recharge, I'd suggest, in between each exam. Once they're fully charged up, you get about 8 hours life on them the next day. There's also a little battery light in the corner as well, which sort of indicates how much battery you've got left, and you can also check that in the settings as well. And as you can see on my screen, I've not charged up and been prepared for this one because the battery is really low on this one. So it's probably going to switch off in a few seconds. But when the battery is running low, it's just something to look out for. It will start to flash a battery low, and no student wants that if they're sat in an exam. So it's really important that you do charge them up. They are distraction free as well. There's no web browser on there. This one they can download onto it. They can save content on it. But, you know, they do comply with screen time. And I think we're all probably working remote at the moment. I know I have been since last March. So I've got problems with my shoulder at the moment, a trap muscle. But I think it is literally because I'm sat down all day on screen, probably far too much and more than I would normally be. So when you get the pens, they come in these boxes. They come complete with charger, earphones. Most students prefer to use their own earphones. It's a universal adapter. And obviously with this pandemic, you probably issue each student with their own headset, or they can use their own. For larger institutions, we also supply in classroom sets of 10. You can mix between any of the products, actually. Reader pen, exam reader, you might want a couple of Lingo pens in there, and they come in a nice sort of carry case that you can obviously transport across campuses if you've got multiple campuses. So just to go over that, they are battery operated, they're totally portable. They instantly read words, lines, paragraph of text. So whatever the student is scanning, whether it's a word or paragraph, it will convert that to a speech for them. And again, as Brendan suggested, it will support those with dyslexia. They may have low reading levels. Perhaps they've got other specific learning difficulties. And they could even be partially sighted. So depending on their levels of vision, as long as they can guide, and you could do a highlighter test to make sure they can guide it along the word or indeed the sentence, then you could try them out with one of these solutions, as I mentioned as well. It also supports those that have English as a second language or they're learning English. So the White Reader Pen, this pen cannot be taken into an exam, and it cannot be taken into an exam because it's got dictionaries. So not only does this read English, it will also read French and Spanish. It includes the monolingual dictionaries, and then it's also got the Collins English Dictionary. And depending on the sort of reading levels, it's also got the Oxford Primary Dictionary on there as well. So the Primary Dictionary will obviously give them a very simple definition. If they want something more detailed, they'd obviously have it set to the Collins English Dictionary. The other useful thing, which I absolutely love on this Reader Pen, again, if you don't like taking notes or copying out of textbooks, etc., it does have scan to files. So what you can do is connect it via USB, connect it to a laptop, and as a student scanning a passage out of a book perhaps, it will automatically upload those words instantly. So it acts like a keyboard into a document, and that might be a Word doc or a Google Doc application. And then, for instance, they could save that onto your virtual learning environment and share it with the peers. So it's absolutely great. And if you're like me, who absolutely hates taking notes, I think that's a great tool. The other tool it's got on it is the recorder as well. When I would normally be out visiting and doing presentations on site like this, you know, not only do I present to teaching staff, but I also train students as well. And a lot of the students have told me they've quite successfully recorded lectures. As long as a pen's placed near the speaker, it's great. And I suppose it just depends on sound levels in the room as to, you know, the quality of that, but that's one of the areas it's been used. The other area is some students with memory loss. You know, if they've got an assignment that's due in next month, they can just send themselves a quick message. Again, if they're lazy like me and don't like to take notes, etc., just send a voice message to themselves that they can listen to later. Get the lecturer to record messages to them. And the other area is pronunciation, practicing. So they can scan a word, listen to the sound, and then they could practice actually saying it and listen to it repeat. Anything they scan as well on this pen, it's got 8 GB of storage, so they can save it, and then they can look at that at a later date or download it onto another solution. All our pens have settings, so this allows students to set it to their own personal preferences. So it can be set to left or right-handed. They can change the speed at which it reads back. They can adjust the volume, and then they can have punctuation pauses and so forth, as well as obviously setting the language. Now, when you receive the pens, you don't need to worry about all that. As I say, they do come in box. They do come with a set of instructions. We also offer online training at the moment, and hopefully very sometime soon, we will be able to come on site and offer you on-site training sessions if you went down the route of trialing and obviously investing in this solution. But they also come complete with a setup wizard. So once you receive the pen, switch it on, it will take you through each feature, and then you can set it according to what the student's requirements might be. A new feature which went on the pens, and I don't know if Brendan's seen this or heard this yet, should I say, but we've also got the choice of accents now. So as well as the English accent, we've also got Australian Indian, we've also got the Irish accent and the Scottish, and I've yet to listen to those accents and try and get some feedback from our users, hopefully sometime soon, as to how those sound. As I say, this pen does have an exam lock on it, but it cannot be taken into an official exam under SEC, or indeed in the UK JCQ, it will not be allowed. There's also a talking menu on here. Again, that could help somebody perhaps with low vision as well. And as mentioned earlier, the orange pen, the brightly coloured orange pen, is the exam approved pen. And as I say, it's been approved by not only SEC, JCQ, SQA in Scotland, as well as some of the international exam boards as well. And it's normally just a student's normal way of working, or they apply obviously for the access arrangements or whatever it might be, and then they can actively take this into an exam. And for you as an institution, you may already have some of these pens. Some of you may still be using human readers. It tends to be the most common solution. But what I've noticed over the last 12 months, having human readers and students studying remotely, a lot of institutions have had to change their support strategies very quickly. And a lot of our institutions have actually been deploying these out to students, allowing them to actually use them and loan them out so they can use them remotely. But again, normally when I go visit institutions, one of the major headaches is there's so many students with access arrangements, a lot of them with reading requirements support, and a lot of institutions just don't have the capacity of the staff to deal with it. So introducing this as part of a support package could obviously really help you guys out. And then for the student, again, I think anyone with reading difficulties, dyslexia, may suffer with low self-esteem. They perhaps lack confidence, and they certainly don't want to be seen with a human reader, especially as they get into that teenage age and 16, sitting exams. They don't want to be in a separate room. I've also spoken to a lot of human readers, exam invigilators, and they can be sat in a separate room with a student and they won't even put their hand up or indeed ask them a question. And then if they've got the confidence to do that, it's like, how many times can I ask them to repeat that question? So this is, again, where these pens can come into play, because they can scan the entire question and listen to it play back as many times as they want. So the exam reader will simply convert text to speech, and like the reader pen, it does have settings. We've also got multiple languages on this pen. So the common languages are English, French, German, Italian, and Spanish, but we've also added other languages sort of last year to now include Danish, Dutch, Norwegian, Portuguese, Russian, Swedish, and we've got the Mandarin language on this particular pen as well. So great for any international students or students studying a language that's supported there. It does come with Wizard again, and it does include the accents on there as well. So all our pens are available for free trials. But moving on to evidence and impact, I've got lots of potential videos that I could share with you for sort of post-16 upwards. I've selected the University of Limerick this morning, seeing as we're presenting with the Dyslexia Association Ireland. So this is a great video. It's probably about 5 minutes long. So I'll play this because it talks about the main drivers for them introducing the technology, and gives some interviews with students as well. So let's play this. And as I say, it takes about 5 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Thomas O'Shaughnessy. I'm the Assistive Technology Officer at the University of Limerick. We have approximately around 12,000 students. The courses range from engineering and science to education to music to humanities.
My name's Pat Hoey. I'm the Access Manager in the University of Limerick. So that role is really managing initiatives that look at widening participation to the university for groups that are underrepresented in higher education. And one of those would be people with disabilities. I think for us, and for all educators in third level, we have to think, and indeed the students need to think about professions after education. So we're not just teaching our students, we are getting them ready for when they graduate.
When new students arrive, they normally come to Disability Services when we have an assessment with them. We sometimes give them extra time, sometimes we give them human readers. But we found that a lot of students were reluctant to ask the invigilator to read the question for them if someone else was present in the room. And what happens was there were so many rooms required for readers that we were stretching almost the whole length of our whole main building. We knew this wasn't practical going forward, so we had to find that kind of solution, and that's where the exam reader pen came in. We tried it with 5 students and it worked really well. So they replaced the need for human readers in the classroom.
The fact that we had the pen was, was really a miracle, that you could actually negotiate yourself through a text without input from another individual. You could get yourself into an exam situation where you could actually read the questions yourself. So you were fully informed, you were independent.
The technology that the university have shown me, I didn't know any of it before coming into the university. The pen makes it much easier. It kind of less awkwardness there, that you're not asking someone, you're not relying on someone to read something back to you that just couldn't make head nor tail of. But if you pen, you've no fear of that at all. You can just scan whatever you want, go over it and listen back.
We found out with our students that feedback was starting to come, that people were misreading questions. But now with the reading pens, I'm not getting that feedback. These pens read out perfectly. They read out with a proper accent. They don't have to worry about mistaken words.
Sometimes I just miss words in the question, and then it can lead to me writing stuff that's not relevant if I read the question wrong. Chemistry, it kind of helps because they're bigger words and you can actually hear what they sound like, but I try to know how to say them.
We train the students usually in the weeks leading up to the exams. It's about a 10-minute session that we do with the students around the reading pen. We scan in past exam papers, I go through the features of the pen, and then all the students get to trial it out. The students seem to pick up the pen really easily because the features on it are pretty straightforward.
I had like a day introduction to actually use the reading pen, that you had to like change it from left-handed to right-handed because I'm left-handed.
Once you have your headphones in and you have the voice there and you're constantly concentrating on scanning it, it makes it so much handier that you have something to concentrate on. There's nothing really outside you because you're looking down at the page, the headphones in the ear, you're hearing it back. So there's very little to actually distract you.
So we started originally with 5 reading pens. After that we moved to, I think it was 37. Then it went to, I think, 126 last semester. I think we worked it out in the first exams, just with first years alone, I think it saved us something like €7,000. But we were predicting that maybe when every year is using it, that we'd be saving approximately 25,000 a semester. But most of all, it's taken over that need for the students to be reliant on someone else. We can't send them out into the work environment not being able to read handouts of material that they've been given anything in hard copy. So now the students can take reading pens out into the workplace, they can scan text away, they don't have to be embarrassed.
It's efficiency for the organisation, but also efficiency for the student. The key thing for us is to make that individual independent, empowered, learn their programme of study, learn their profession, and then being able to transfer into a work environment seamlessly and be confident.
The university is very supportive in that the technology isn't just based towards like schooling or education. They're feeling like, I'm only allowed to use that in college or only on college material. I found there's actually one girl that I was talking to, a friend of mine, that uses the pens as well. And she says she has it in her bag with her, and if she's ever in a restaurant or something and she sees something on a menu, she scans them as well and she carries it around with her.
So the pen's enabling to work better in a work environment. If you had like only a day to read a thing, it might be easier to have a reading pen just to go over the stuff instead of sitting down and reading it yourself. You could have a little bit of an aid. Some students would feel that their disability would have a negative impact, but they can be confident and say, look, I have this technology and it's worked for me. I have a first in my degree. I got that through being an independent learner, through the use of reading pens, and it makes me as efficient as anyone else. Probably makes me more efficient because I have to think outside the box. I've had to adapt, and I can adapt also in employment.
So that's from the University of Limerick. We probably filmed that probably about 2 years ago, actually. So I am looking for new studies, and hopefully we'll be able to travel again and come on site. And perhaps if any of you are active users of the pen, you might be interested in doing some filming with us. But I think it gives you a good indication of the main drivers of why they introduced the pen. Obviously, it helped them with their planning capacity, and then they really wanted to drive the idea of independence and students being able to sort of read independently and obviously prepare them for their next transition, whether that might be into the workplace. They've probably got just over 300 exam readers, so they are our biggest customer in Ireland, and they're probably saving about €30,000 per semester now. I do have other studies, so these are from FE. They are from some of the English colleges. Bradford College is one of my biggest users, and they're an interesting site. They've always gone down the route of investing in the exam readers, but when you get a copy of this presentation, you can click through and there's a link to the full case study. But they actually, at the start of this pandemic, made inquiries about the white reader pen, because again, they were worried about how their students were going to cope studying remotely. And as part of a support package, again, they allowed students to loan the pens out. So they do have a lot of exam readers, but they've just rolled out the reader pens across their English departments for those students that are studying or who've not hit the grade on the GCSE exams, and they allow them to loan them and take them to use whilst they've been studying remotely. Manchester and Leeds City College, again, two interesting sites. Leeds City College a couple of years ago had about 6,000 students come through from secondary school with access arrangements. A third of those students had reading requirements, and they just couldn't cope with it, to be honest. They had other solutions in place, but again, when it came around to exam time, they didn't have enough rooms. A lot of the colleges that I've been to see, literally, when exams have been normally up and running, they're having to close colleges down just to cope with the number of students in exams with access arrangements, reading support, and them all having to put them in separate rooms. And much a similar story from Manchester College as well. So they've very much, again, gone down the exam reader route. But in further higher education, it is very much the exam reader, because obviously it can be taken into the exams. But since this pandemic, I'm seeing a shift in demand for this solution as well now, obviously, because it's got all the features on it. And New College Swindon was an interesting one, because they actually had a problem. I don't know if any of you guys have this problem of actually recruiting staff to support students. So they initially went down the reader pen route, and then they got wind that there was actually an exam reader pen that could be used in exams. So, and I'm quickly talking through these now, but I'm just conscious of time and hopefully get some time for some questions. But when you get a copy of this, you can go through and read the full case studies. And we also filmed with Wolverhampton City College last February. So it was just just before the pandemic. And it's a great little video. It's about 5 minutes long. So if you get time, do watch that. And one of the students, she wouldn't let me film her, but she let me record her because she was too shy. And it's quite humbling what she says. And I've used this as a voiceover at the beginning of the one, because she actually, through high school, she just didn't want to go to school. She had dyslexia. She felt stupid. And it wasn't until she transitioned through into further education and she got access to a full support package, including the pens, that she really came out of herself a confidence guru, and she was able to pass some of her exams. So it's a great story, is that one, and a great video to watch. As I say, I have so much I can share with you. A lot of information you'll find on our website, so you can select whether you're a high school, further higher education. The University of Law is one of our biggest English universities, and they're relatively new to us. They came on board again just before the pandemic, and in the pandemic they reinvested in this technology as well. And one of the reasons was the number of students again that had reading requirements and reading support requirements, and the number of campuses they had. And then again, because of the pandemic, they had to come up with other strategies to support students studying remotely. And quite a nice testimonial from the University of Westminster here. It's a reliable tool for people who have reading problems. It is very handy in a small size. It's easy to carry around with you. And I think that's what's great about this. You can just put it in your bag, or you can use one of these lanyards and have it on you at all times. So just to go over some of the benefits, and then we'll take some questions. Obviously, when exams are up and running again, hopefully it's going to reduce exam anxiety for your students. It will, as long as they've got the pens charged up, they can access printed text anywhere. And I noticed on one of the questions we're being asked, does it read handwriting? No, it won't read handwriting. I've seen people try. I shouldn't say this, but if your handwriting is really, really neat, then you might get away with it. But no, they're designed to read printed text. And obviously there's different fonts it's better working with, and obviously text sizes as well. Hopefully it's going to help your students read, improve their reading comprehension, should I say, improve their academics performance. And again, we've got lots of studies and proof that it does support and help students. And it's going to help them sit in exams independently. And, you know, we're preparing these kids for their next transition, you know, indeed, whether it's straight into the workplace or indeed to continue with their studies, and hopefully it's going to make them, you know, increase their confidence and increase their independence as well. And you as an institution, if you do have a lot of students who require reading support, then hopefully long term it would reduce your costs internally. As I say, I normally come on site and do things like this with you. We'd normally be a lot of the bigger educational shows over in Ireland as well. But we're doing online training. We're doing a lot of things like this as well. So do check our webinar schedule out as well. And our head of education is a lady called Julia Clouter. She's got a wealth of experience, an ex-Senko. She's worked in education probably more than I have, but she's also put together some CPD sessions. So she'll do an introduction session, an implementation session, and she'll also do a specific learning support session with you, and can also offer bespoke sessions as well for you. So if any of you are interested in booking those, if you've got staff training sessions coming up before the end of this academic year, then do take us up on that offer, because we are offering these sessions for free at the moment, and they normally be chargeable, so you can make use of Julia if you've got any specific questions and take advantage of those training sessions, which probably last about an hour. So Brendan, I'm just having a look at these questions now. Sorry, if you want. Yeah. So Brendan, is there some there for you? Do you want to?
Just a couple that were sort of out of my remit, because CPEN, I knew a couple of these things, but some of the other features were absolutely amazing. I love the fact that there's other voices, or I'm assuming it's the Irish Moira voice that I do prefer as well, the female voice.
I've not actually heard it yet, so I'm intrigued. I need to download the latest software and listen to it actually. And I'm quite, because I'm from Scotland originally as well, so I'm quite intrigued to see what the Scottish accent sounds like as well.
Yeah, just a couple of questions that threw me, or just wanted to provide more information. So, Clodagh there, if you don't mind me naming him, I'm sorry. We just purchased the white CPEN. Know how to record your daughter's stories, but have issues uploading it to RPC. Does it upload the recording as text, and if so, how?
So the recording would be only MP4 and WAV files. So it's only sound files, and it wouldn't convert to text. What we can do, because I've never tried this myself, is get you some further information and maybe take you on a call with one of our support team, perhaps, that could chat you through exactly how to do that. I think that's probably the best solution. And my colleague Jim, who was on this call earlier before we started, is probably the guy that I'd put you in touch with, or as I say, one of our tech support team. But no, it wouldn't convert to text, but we can chat you through exactly how to do that. And it's quite a good point, actually, because we do have a training video, but that's one of the things that's not included on the training video. And I think it is something we should share as we move forward. And yeah, you think the Irish accent is good, so thanks for that feedback as well.
Yeah, so sorry if I can jump in on dictation, and so this is outside of the lines of scanning pen, so this is my sort of AT hat coming on. So if you did want to convert any audio of text, you could take that recording of the WAV file and basically import it to the likes of, there's a site called otter.ai.
Okay.
So it's a freemium model, so it's like some of the further features are locked behind a paywall. So that means like you can upload max of 3 recordings per month, I think, but it will convert, or for want of a better word, scrub that text and create once the text is clear. So going from dictating into a PC isn't a perfect science either. So you'll have varying degrees of accuracy. So for example, if I have a blocked nose, or if I have a light head cold, which is man flu, and then suddenly I'm speaking with a bit heavier, or if there's any noise in the background, that might impede the actual accuracy of the dictation, as well as the microphone. The microphone quality in the scanning pen is brilliant as well, because it's so clear, the recordings. So those are a couple of things to know. And I believe Microsoft have a new dictate feature within their Office 365, and that's just to let you know, that's behind another paywall. So if your learning institution, workplace has a subscription to Office 365, if you go to Word on the online or Word on the web, the dictate button is over the far right, and there's a tiny little like drop down just to the right of that button, and there's a transcribe. So you'd upload that file, and it would give you a script of that file as well. Sorry, that's just me with the AT hat on.
Yeah, I know. That's great.
And there was just one. I'm aware of the CPen Connect, which has Bluetooth connectivity. But have you ever had any queries regarding pairing the pen with a cochlear implant?
No, we'd need to ask the Connect team about that as well. No, I wouldn't be able to say whether that.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be 100%. So yeah, we'll come back. I think it was Tracy asking about that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we'll come back to you, Tracy, and give you a call or send you an email. But yeah, I'll send that through to the Connect team and find out later on today. Yeah, we've just got a question here about the criterion limits on the reading speed for allowing students to use the exam pen by the state bodies, and why is state using reading speed as a key indicator when there are so many other challenges a person can encounter, for example, comprehension.
If that individual wants to get contact me directly,
yeah, brilliant.
Contact the AI directly about that as well.
Yeah, I think that's from
it's
Patrick. Yeah, okay.
There's a good question there about, I believe, ADHD. Can scanning pens help its students with attention issues? My argument would be yes. But
yes, and again, I'd say yes. And I've mentioned our head of education, Julia Clouter, so she can. She's got so much experience in working with students of various ages with specific learning difficulties and being able to guide them and offer support, which is one of her CPD sessions where she can talk to you about that. So yeah, I'd point you towards the expert there and can put you in touch with Julia, and again, she can have a conversation with you. But yeah, it just depends really on each individual, I would say. And some it can help, others are just no. It's and I'd always say it's probably this pen that's best suited for anyone, because it's got less features on it, so they can't get lost in to start getting more confident and navigating around and distracting themselves. And this will just convert text to speech. So yeah, I'll get Julie to speak to you about that. Okay, I think that's it, isn't it? Unless I've missed any.
Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, I believe someone is typing, so I'll give them a moment to say something.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you've all enjoyed that. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have recorded this session, so you'll get a copy of the recording, and I'll send you a copy of this presentation. So do look at all the links. And as I said, I could have shared so much more with you, but I'm always conscious I'm maybe overloading you with information. So once I've contacted you via email, if you've got any specific questions that you think of after, then do send them my way, or indeed you can forward them through to Brendan. As I say, we do offer free trials as well. You can contact me direct and I'll send you some information on that. And then depending on whether you're from further or higher education, I'll put the different links. And do check our YouTube channel. And we've actually got our own Facebook channel as well now. So do join that as well, because that's a great community with lots of ideas and tips. And you can follow us on there as well. And we've even got an Instagram account. We're everywhere at the moment. So yeah, I hope you're all well. Hopefully at some point I'll be able to get out and see some of you guys. And Brendan, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I know your colleague's doing a session this afternoon, isn't she, with my colleagues for secondary and primary schools. Yeah, which should be another interesting one if anyone's interested in joining that. But yeah, thank you everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just I'd sort of jump on with the old socials as well. So the Dyslexia Association of Ireland, dyslexia.ie, as well as our YouTube channel. I thought I'd plug a few. If you want to see more of my monotone and awkwardness, there's we have some tech Thursday videos up there. So sort of small snippets of using sort of different assistive technologies there as well. I need to get my hands on a scanning pen. That's the next video to make. So we have the YouTube channel as well as Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So everywhere. I believe there was mention of TikTok, but I don't do TikTok.
No, I don't do TikTok though. I have seen our marketing team producing some on TikTok, and there was this other platform as well, which I've not tried out. And everyone's videoing on things like LinkedIn as now. I don't think I'm so comfortable with that. I've only just got used to the online webinars, I
think. Same.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, thank you so much, Brendan. It's been great for you to join us, and hopefully you can do something with us at some point in the future. I can even come and see you, hopefully. Not sure it'll be this year, but perhaps next year when me and Jim are over that way. Yeah, so thanks everyone.
Take care all.
Yeah, take care everyone. Thank you very much.